evening. I'm Chris Nachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin with a trial that is currently underway in the death of a man who was found deceased in his home in a rural Yukon community in 2022. APTN's Sarah Connors starts us off.
Monday marked the start of the murder trial in the 2022 death of Anthony Promozic, a citizen of the Champagne and Ajax First Nations. His relative, Seth Boss, is charged with second-degree murder. The 25-year-old was found in his bedroom at his home in the rural community of Hangs Junction on March 9, 2022. An agreed statement of facts filed in court states Boss had come from northern British Columbia to visit family. The two men ran into each other while Boss was heavily intoxicated. They then went to Promozic's home, where evidence shows they drank together, and Promozic attempted to help Boss return to where he was staying. At 2:20 a.m., Promozic made 2 calls to Boss's aunt that went unanswered. He then texted her asking her to come get Boss, writing, quote, "He keeps trying to choke me out." Promozic died sometime between 2:20 and 3 a.m. He was found by his mother later that evening. An autopsy report states he died from multiple blunt and sharp force injuries to his head, neck, and chest. The agreed facts state Boss caused Promozic's death. Boss was linked to the killing through DNA found at the scene and was charged nearly a year later. On Monday, Boss pleaded not guilty, instead pleading guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter. The Crown rejected his plea and the case is now before the court. The trial is expected to take about 3 weeks. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Parents in Saskatchewan are breathing a sigh of relief today following a school in Balgonie, Saskatchewan that was put into lockdown just before lunch on Wednesday due to a firearm scare. 2 youths have since been arrested in connection with the incident. RCMP say they received a call at 11:05 a.m. of a report of a firearm in a vehicle near Greenall High School in Balgonie. Multiple RCMP units attended and placed the school in hold and secure mode while they investigated. 2 youths were arrested at the scene and officers seized 3 BB-style long guns. No injuries were reported. Police say there is no ongoing risk to public safety, but there will be an increased police presence in the area as the investigation continues. A First Nation on the East Coast has just doubled in size following an announcement from the federal government. Here's the very latest. On Wednesday, Member 2 First Nation Chief Terrence Paul and Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Rebecca Alty announced that Member 2 will add a total of 4 new additions of land to its existing reserve land, totaling more than 400 acres. The land added includes Member 2 Heritage Park, land in the town of Lingen northeast of Sydney, Stan's Paving south of Sydney, and Mullins, also south of Sydney in Cape Breton. Member 2 leadership says the land will be used for the construction of more housing, cultural and ceremonial purposes, and increased commercial and economic opportunities for the First Nation. In a statement, Member 2 Chief Terry Paul added, "For us, land is tied to identity and history, bringing both responsibility and opportunity. Our community focuses on generational growth, and today's announcement exemplifies how collaboration and partnership are key on the path to success." Member 2 has a population of more than 1,600 members, both on and off reserve, and is located just 3 kilometers from downtown Sydney in Unama'ki, also known as Cape Breton. The province of Ontario has announced accelerated construction timelines for roads in northern Ontario that will lead to the mineral-rich Ring of Fire. On Tuesday, the Ford government said the completion of the all-season roads to the Ring of Fire will now happen 5 years ahead of schedule, with construction planned to start in June of 2026 and roads beginning to open in December of 2030. Ontario says development of the Ring of Fire, roughly 500 kilometers northeast of Thunder Bay, will create 70,000 jobs and add $22 billion to the economy over the next 30 years. The Ford government has also signed new economic partnerships with Martin Falls First Nation and Webequie First Nation, who led environmental assessments for 2 of the roads. Under the new plan, construction on the Webequie Supply Road is scheduled to start this June. Construction on the Martin Falls Community Access Road is also set to start this August. In total, 4 road projects will see First Nations connected to the provincial highway network and provide access to the area that is critical to the development of the Ring of Fire.
Responsible development means balancing economic opportunity for environmental stewardship and respect for Indigenous rights. Our communities have stewarded these lands for thousands of years, and our knowledge and perspectives must continue to guide how development takes place. When done right, critical mineral development can support both economic prosperity and the transition to cleaner technologies, while ensuring the protection of lands and waters that sustain us.
Northern Ontario NDP MPP Saul Mamakwa was joined by First Nations at Queen's Park on Tuesday to voice their opposition to the Ontario government's plans to fast-track building a road network to that Ring of Fire. The government held a press conference on Monday to announce plans to start construction this June, with some roads opening as early as November of 2030. Ontario has long wanted to build a road network to the North's Ring of Fire in order to access critical minerals in the region. At Tuesday's press conference, Saskatchewan Lake First Nation councillor Eugene Tate told media his First Nation is already experiencing problems with a company that is conducting exploration activities on traditional land without consent. Anishinaabe Aski Nation Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler added, First Nations aren't against development, but they must be heard and respected.
But they want Ontario and Canada and the industry to respect the relationship that they have with the Crown. And they're here to offer solutions to industry, to Ontario, to Canada. Solutions that will lead to predictability and stability in the North.
And it does affect the people of Saskatchewan Lake. My aunt, she goes to hunt there. And this past fall, it was not a healthy environment. She wasn't able to harvest, and you know, that's a painful thing when that happens in your home.
Meanwhile, mining projects in Manitoba are getting a $3.4 million boost thanks to the provincial government. A large portion of the funding is slated for a mine 100% owned by Norway House Cree Nation. Mining and Trade Minister Jamie Moses made the announcement at the 2026 Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada conference in Toronto. Moses says $2 million will go to the Minago Critical Minerals Project, located 5.5 hours north of Winnipeg. It became the first critical minerals project to be fully owned by a First Nation in Canada when Norway House Cree Nation purchased it in 2024. The money will support developing the first phase of a processing facility for magnesium extracted from quarried dolomite limestone. Minago says Canada uses 25,000 tons of the metal each year, entirely imported from other countries. This phase is expected to create 20 permanent jobs and provide training for more than 50 First Nation workers. The limestone quarry extraction already trained 15 Norway House Cree Nation members this winter. The Northwest Territories' housing system is aging, underbuilt, climate vulnerable, and dependent on multi-government funding. That's according to a new housing needs assessment. The 176-page report used data collected from community engagement sessions. It projects more than 2,000 new housing units are needed over the next decade, half of those being affordable units, 600 for public housing, and 330 for market rental units. It also says 1/3 of homes across the territory need major repairs, and in small communities, 51% need significant work. The findings also show Indigenous and small communities have more mold and more overcrowding issues. Meanwhile, in Yellowknife, hundreds of families are on long wait lists for public housing. Lucy Kaptana is the territory's housing minister.
having this evidence-based approach provides them that information, so they go to the table with their federal partners and say, okay, Housing and WT has done this work, and the government of Northwest Territories is providing this submission to Build Canada Homes, and this is the work they've done. They've gone to 20 communities. They've had over 450 people or households be part of the survey. They work with the University of British Columbia with their housing assessment resource tool.
A university in Ontario is hoping to attract more Indigenous students interested in becoming doctors. That interview after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This Thursday, the Northern Ontario School of Medicine University, located in Thunder Bay in Greater Sudbury, will host a live and virtual event for all Indigenous people interested in becoming physicians. The event will include current Indigenous medical students and will help participants connect with staff and community members who are committed to supporting new students who want to one day become a doctor. We spoke to Dr. Joseph LeBlanc and why we need more Indigenous doctors in our healthcare system. Here's that interview. Thanks for making some time for us, Dr. LeBlanc. Can you start by telling us why the Northern Ontario School of Medicine University created this live virtual event for those who are interested in becoming physicians and what people can expect?
Sure. So this is an annual event that we do to provide information for Indigenous applicants to NOSM University. That's Northern Ontario's School of Medicine. So we do have a social accountability mandate to serve the populations in the region. So getting information to prospective Indigenous applicants is a critical part of that. So people can expect to meet other applicants. They can also expect to meet successful learners, so some of our current Indigenous learners who will help just sort of guide the process and give some information on what that really means as far as like each step to apply to NOSM.
You talked about it a little bit there, but why is it important to attract and support more Indigenous people into the medical profession, and why do we need more Indigenous doctors?
You know, it's really important because there's been such a systemic exclusion from the provision of those opportunities, and certainly, you know, we're well aware and you know, live the experience of harmful healthcare in our communities. And you know, you look at stories coming out of Thunder Bay or Sudbury or within the region, and it's really important because cultural safety training can only go so far, right? We really do need to focus on recruiting and supporting Indigenous learners and to become physicians. And being a physician is also more than just providing care. It's also participating in research, participating in advocacy within the hospital and health system, and providing leadership into a systems change, right? So really supporting people who are interested in doing that. NOSM University opened with a designated target, so there were designated seats for Indigenous learners up until about 5 years ago when we made a transition to set an aspirational goal that's a representation of the population of Northern Ontario. So our goal is to have 20% of each class be Indigenous learners. Over the last couple of years, that's reached at 15% at this point, so we're well on track to meeting that goal. But we've also noticed an increase in the number of students who are accepted to NOSM, but also accepted elsewhere and are choosing to go elsewhere. So we're at a transition phase for sure. This is no longer about, you know, recruitment to say, you know, did you know you could go to medical school, but more so to say we're getting a lot of applicants, and many of those are also going elsewhere. So we actually see less students than we offer that come to the school in the end, which is great because, you know, we do work provincially through an initiative called Mishkiki Mikan, You can see the website mishkikimikon.ca if you're interested in that pathway to medicine. So our approach with the other schools in Ontario is to provide the information, provide the support through that pathway, and we're really proud to see people go where they are supported through their community, supported culturally and being in their territory. But this is all part of that social accountability responsibility.
Really briefly, but what do you hope participants will take away from the event?
Well, we're hoping that they'll see that this is a place for us. This is a place for people who want to make that change, and to understand that it is a competitive process. It's a process that is based on merit. All of the Indigenous learners that get into any medical school in Canada meet the threshold for academics. It's really an experience of how do you present yourself in the interviews. What are some of the additional things that you can do to make yourself stand out? We know you've got the marks, we know you've got the interest. The other thing I think is to understand that this is not just undergraduate youth who are coming in. We have a number of existing health professionals. So if you're out there, you're nursing the community or working in another health field, that transition into medical school is possible, and we want people to understand that if they have that dream out there, they want to learn a little bit more, come and join us on the 5th.
Dr. Joseph LeBlanc is the Associate Vice President of Equity and Inclusion with the Northern Ontario School of Medicine University. Dr. LeBlanc, thanks so much for joining us today, and good luck at the event today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
We have more news after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back. It's that time again for Photo of the Day. White Dog, Ontario was the host community for the 2026 Anishinaabe Winter Games. Youth from a number of Ontario First Nations gathered there to compete, and during that gathering, a local resident captured our very own Sav Jonesa and Jared Delorme covering the activities. Thanks for sharing that great picture of our two lovely friends and co-workers. For the chance to be our next Photo of the Day, send us your pictures to share at aptn.ca. Time now for tomorrow's weather forecast. On the east coast, Charlottetown -7, Halifax 0 and sunny. Anujiwak -28, Nain -23. Sunny in Saguenay at -9, St. Jovite partly cloudy and -4. Partly cloudy in Toronto at +1, Peterborough +1. Sudbury -7, Thunder Bay clear skies and -10. Sun's out in Puckatawagan at -10, God's Lake -13. Partly cloudy in Winnipeg at -6, Dauphin -13. Partly cloudy in Regina at -8, Saskatoon -7. -3 in Meadow Lake, La Ronge -8. Flurries in High Level at -6, sunny in Fort McMurray at -1. Partly cloudy in Lethbridge at 11, Calgary 6. Rain in Tofino at 7, Vancouver 6. Dees Lake cloudy and -2, Prince George 4. Whitehorse flurries in -7, Mayo clear skies -15. Sunny in Wrigley at -20, Fort Simpson -16. -21 in Fort McPherson, Colville Lake -26. -26 in Cambridge Bay, Chesterfield -29. And Arctic Bay -34, Iqaluit -24. With the demolition of the Portage Place Mall in downtown Winnipeg, the Pete skate park has been forced to move to another location. The skate park hoped to open for the winter, but has been experiencing delays since moving. APTN's Julia Ross reports.
With True North and Southern Chiefs organization's development of the Portage Place Mall in downtown Winnipeg becoming a not-for-profit residential complex, the Pitequay Skate Park must move. This move will be the Pitequay Skate Park's third location and second temporary location so far.
When Pitequay lost its space at Higgins in Maine. They were searching, and we were in the midst of close to purchasing the property, and so joining together with the previous owners, we helped them get into the Portage Place space with the understanding that we had development plans coming.
After being told they would need to shut down, the True North Company has provided the Pitiquay Skate Park with a new space, the old Snap Fitness building on Portage Avenue. Executive Director of Pitiquay, Dan McRory, says he's grateful to have had support acquiring the new space.
It's been a lot of work, so we're kind of juggling a few different things where, True North did jump in and help provide us with this space. And then in the meantime, we're also continuing to pursue long-term spaces. Because in the end, we just don't want to be jumping around from space to space. We want to find a place, not just for us to not have to move more than once, but for the community to know where we are and be, sure that we'll be there.
McRory says that the skate park would have opened its new location, but there have been multiple delays.
We've got some remediation going on here because we did have a flood in the space. And so the building owners took care of that quickly, but there's a lot of water damage that needs to be repaired. So we're about to launch a fundraiser. We lost a little bit of time, so there's been some downtime here. So that we've been using resources to build and move and all that stuff. So we're launching a fundraiser to help us open back up. There's going to be opportunities to sort of like sponsor a ramp and all kinds of different things.
Staff member Isaiah Parisian says it's been unfortunate that there hasn't been a place to skate for this year's winter.
My hopes would be to just have the doors open for everybody, to give everybody a space to come in and skate or whatnot, and just to stay warm and to stay active during the winter. And it's also a great outlet for a lot of families to bring their kids, and it's good for programming, it's good for the youth.
True North says that they will continue to support and help the skaters find a true permanent location in the future.
One of the things that we deeply understand is that we have a community in our downtown that is underserviced for recreational opportunities for youth. We need it. The community needs it. The neighborhood needs it.
Pitiquay hopes to find its permanent home within the next 3 to 5 years, and its goal is to find a space that provides a great service to the community. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
That's all the time we have for tonight's evening newscast. I'm Chris Nachkate. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Next day.